We are joined now by Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, senior leader of the Congress party. Thanks, Dr. Singhvi, very much for being with us. As far as you are concerned, Dr. Singhvi, is it a done deal now, or are you calling the election soon, or do you see any substantial changes or small changes, or is it a done deal?
Well, I'm by nature a cautious person.
Really?
So I never consider anything a done deal till it is done. But I have, from experience, and you know more about this, Vishnu, learned that 12 o'clock is a reasonably accurate time to call an election under the EVMs. Actually, the thing is truly known only after 2:33. But actually, I have not found normally things going wrong. 11:30 is a dangerous time, as many of you do call it.
Yeah.
But 12 o'clock, and I'm happy we are having it at 12:15. I think more or less, unless some miracle happens in favor of the BJP, and miracles do happen, I am quite sure that they are not having a defeat. They are having a major defeat. Your figures, I want to start by saying one thing. I would like to ask the Honorable Home Minister of India, that sentence of his which will haunt him, and none of you are playing that on the channel. Please take it from me in writing. We are getting 150. Remind me of this in writing after the results are out. Well, I'm doing that. I'm doing his bidding. I'm reminding him through you.
Dr. Singhvi, sorry, Dr. Singhvi, if I may ask you, because being an ace lawyer, there have been many cases for other parties and for your own party where you had to go to court when the victory margin was very, very close. Are you, with these numbers which are at this moment showing on our screens, 123 for the Congress, confident that at least for next 5 years, Karnataka is not going to be the one state that is going to trouble you?
That is the only sense of regret I have, ironically, in this case. Not the winning of the election is a great joy, but the fact that forensically and professionally, one is not going to have a triple satisfaction. Remember the midnight hearing, but there was a second Karnataka hearing, both of which I think not electorally or politically, but with my forensic hat I enjoyed. And that, I think, that pleasure will be denied to us this time. We are quite safe. There is no need to go to any court. And I don't think any legal acrobatics will be required.
So you've got two very strong contenders publicly declared, perhaps rare for the Congress party to have two candidates, any candidate publicly declare as a chief ministerial aspirant, but two candidates publicly declaring that they are chief ministerial aspirants. Are you worried that there could be factions within the party? Who's going to be the one who's going to keep the whole thing together now?
See, this is not at all uncommon. You know it, I know it. This ambition is positive ambition. It is normal. It happens in every party. Some is more relatively muted, some is more stated. And this is true of almost every state where experienced old parties like Congress have many contenders. And equally, all of them say in the same breath that the Congress will decide on the basis of the MLAs and in consultation with the High Command. And that's the way it is working. So I think not too much should be read in it. We have very, very experienced persons, and you will find that it has been going to be as smooth a transition to a chief minister as smooth a victory it was. But can I just make two or three larger points which interest me, if you don't mind?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
See, the larger points which interest me are not the nitty-gritty, which of course we know about. And I went twice to Bangalore, and in the recent past, I was reasonably confident of a clear majority. I didn't know the numbers, but we crossed the mid-mark, was clear in my mind. But the point I wish to make is, look at the desperation of the ex-ruling BJP in Karnataka and the central leaders. We tend to forget. Everything is hunky-dory after the results are out. Every speech was started with a religious divisive symbol. I'm not talking only of Bajrang Bali. I'm talking of every other speech. And I don't want to repeat it. Every figure of religious symbolism in Hindu religion was used, misused, and repeatedly misused. The people of Karnataka held firm. Then again, you had Mr. Modi doing possibly more than he does in any election. I know you've been asked that question on your channel. In fairness, he must come out front and take the bullet in the 56-inch chest. I remember in 2004, the only person who came out with me on one of your channels at India Gate was Pramod Mahajan. And we started the conversation with this. He said, my colleague should have been out.
Dr. Singhvi, tell me one thing. Dr. Singhvi, while the numbers are there in front of us, and it seems that you will win the election, At this stage, by the way, sir, 54% of all votes have been counted according to the Election Commission as of 12:15. My question is this: the vote share of the BJP hasn't gone down. So in as much as you call it a victory in terms of seats, one could argue that it is exactly what you said has not worked for the BJP, which may have taken them to this point, led by the Prime Minister and his narrative in the last 12 days of the campaign.
Let's assume that the vote share is the same. I don't think it will remain the same by the time you have the figures. You can take it from it, it will go down. But let's assume it's the same. Are we forgetting the corresponding point that there is a huge
increase
in the vote share of the Congress?
Of course there is.
That's the swing. That's the vote. The swing to you equally means a swing against me. Vishnu, you understand that. I mean, it's not just a swing to you. It's a swing against me. So that is forgotten. It's a huge swing. Number two, you see the map, which you will be displaying on the screen some time ago from the other channels. It's a cross. Yeah. BJP is in pockets here and there. That blue which you show for the Congress is a cross.
This election, Basavaraj Bommai, who's been the Chief Minister, conceding the election, 2 points. We have not made the mark. And he says the Congress has been able to. Yeah. So that's important. I'll just get a quick reaction from Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Dr. Singhvi, you heard that over here. Basavaraj Bommai conceding the election. Your first thoughts?
Well, that's a fair point. He's obviously spoken like a former chief minister should speak. And it answers my point just now which you asked. The 12:15 to 12:30 is the right time for fair-minded people to realize the writing on the wall. Secondly, I just before he spoke, I gave you the map of Karnataka. It's across the board. That's a very important factor. It shows across the state support. But equally, if you see the figures, yes, there are ups and downs in some communities, but it's across the board, across communities as well. Forget the minorities, forget the SCs, forget the STs, but even broadly in the Lingayat and the Vokalega communities, in other communities, there has been a strong surge of Congress support. We may be a little less and more.
Right, Dr. Singhvi, but the Congress's vote share increase seems to be coming at the cost of the JDS, not at the BJP. Looking at that, the 2024 election is going to be not an easy walk, sir.
We'll come to that later. I think I agree with you. I don't easily extrapolate from state elections to central elections. But Karnataka has never been the kind of diehard BJP support state which it is made out to be. It is a bit of a exaggerated projection by the BJP time and again. It's just not that. I think there'll be a huge struggle out there in 2024 as well. I think it's too early to talk about it, but this vote share changes rapidly with the good governance they're going to get. And with some luck, let me tell you, with about few more seats of 125, not 140, but few more seats there, and a little diminution there, we may be half-half. We may be double of half of BJP. We may be reaching that figure actually. So I think there is much to be happy about. The BJP has much to be sad about. And the kind of money, the other point we tend to forget, Vishnu and your colleagues, the kind of money spent, it's an open secret that nobody can spend a fraction of the money spent by the former ruling party of BJP in Karnataka.
Right.
The kind of blitzkrieg done. Do you know the amount? Somebody calculated the cost of the rose petals or the flower petals shower. It is some gigantic, humongous figure.
But
now, this is the kind of thing which the people have withstood.
You want to ask?
Yeah, right. Dr. Singhvi, what is the one defining factor from this? I know you can't extrapolate, especially Karnataka, an assembly election to a parliamentary election. It's often been very diverse. But what's the one big national takeaway from this result for the Congress? I mean, the one...
That's a very important question. That's an important question. I think it's more a overall larger, somewhat diffused, but very important psychological point. In the last few weeks, we have seen that institutions, people, electorates can stand up to what was falsely exaggerated and projected as a BJP juggernaut. It shows that the BJP is vulnerable. It is not the elections alone. The psychology turns when you get a NCT stinging judgment by the Supreme Court, restoring the balance of power in Delhi. It was open season and open secret as to how an elected government of Delhi was being completely vandalized. Constitutional vandalism was going on as far as interference is concerned. Equally in Eknath Shinde, where the incumbent holds his seat, every finding has gone against the incumbent. Every finding. And I I have the privilege of arguing both those cases.
But Dr. Singhvi, I just
now,
wanted
I'm not
to-
suggesting that change. So I think there's a psychological change in the mindset of the country that this government, A, is arrogant, is bordering on infallibility notions, and C, is certainly defeatable and vulnerable.